Today we discussed about abstract classes, and we saw about these classes like reader. Reader is an abstract class in which there is one abstract method read. CD reader is the extending reader and it is giving implementation for read method, and similarly DVD reader is extending reader and implementing read, right? Now tell me the reason why I made this class as abstract. Because I don't want any object of this class to be created, I just wanted it for inheritance purpose. And here this method is abstract method. What is the purpose of declaring an abstract method when there is no implementation here? Why should I declare it? Why can't I just remove it? When the method is not having any body, we cannot invoke it anyway. So why to declare it? Yes, to take advantage of runtime polymorphism. Suppose I commented read method which is abstract here, and in CD reader, if I delete it, there is no error. If I make a method as abstract, if I uncomment it, see, CD reader is giving an error, because if in superclass, if one method is abstract, the subclass has to implement it, otherwise the compiler will not agree, right? So if you have a rule such that all subclasses should have a particular method, then make the method as abstract in the superclass, so that all the child classes, all the subclasses will implement it. So until I write an implementation, the compiler will not agree, right? But what is the advantage? If you see this demo class which I wrote yesterday, not this one, if you see this demo class, here this read method is taking reader as parameter. As this is a superclass reference, I should be able to pass CD reader object to this method, or DVD reader object also to this method. Superclass reference can point to subclass objects, so I will be able to pass the CD reader object or DVD reader object. Now when superclass reference is pointing to subclass object, we understood that by using this reference I can call only the methods present in superclass. I cannot call the methods, extra methods present in subclass. Like I told the next example of Sony Vega TV. Sony Vega TV will be having a lot of functionalities, but if you make Sony TV remote to point to Sony Vega TV, that remote will be having less number of buttons, right? I don't have a button here on the old TV remote for the new functionality which is present inside Sony Vega TV, right? So by using superclass reference, I can call only the methods present in superclass. Even though superclass reference is pointing to subclass object, I can call only the methods present in superclass or the overridden methods, right? Suppose now in this reader class, if I don't write this read method, if I comment this read method in reader superclass, see the error here in reader demo. I didn't save it. Okay, if I save it, see in reader demo I am not able to call it, right? So I will not be able to take advantage of runtime polymorphism. Actually, if I am able to write such a code, if I pass CD reader object, reader.read will call read method in CD reader. If I pass DVD reader object, reader.read will call DVD reader. So I am able to take advantage of runtime polymorphism. But if I,
what is the advantage of runtime polymorphism?
Because at runtime we can decide which method is actually called. See, I wrote this method is a very generic method, right? I am saying if you pass CD reader or DVD reader object, this method will work, right? If you pass the CD reader object, it will read from a CD reader. If you pass DVD reader object, it will read from a DVD reader. At runtime, it will decide which read method to call. This read method from DVD reader or CD reader, right? That's the runtime polymorphism, right? So I will not be able to take advantage of a runtime polymorphism if the reader is not having read method, right? Again, I will make it very clear. Suppose if I don't want runtime polymorphism, right? I want to write a read method which will read from DVD or CD. Suppose what I can do is I can write overloaded methods. Here it is CD reader and here it is DVD reader. See now, this is not taking runtime polymorphism. If you are calling read method with CD reader object, this will be called. If you are calling a read method with DVD reader, this will be called. Here it is overloading, right? But in these two methods, similar code is there, exactly similar code is there, right? So two duplicate methods, I can say, similar code is present, right? So if I don't want to take advantage of runtime polymorphism, I have to write such two similar methods. Okay, but if I make this method to take a reader as parameter, I can delete this method because same method will work whether I pass DVD reader or CD reader. Only one method is sufficient for both, right? But now if I want this to work, my superclass should have a read method. So I'll uncomment this read method here. I'll uncomment this read method. Now it is abstract. Why I made abstract? I want a read method here, but I don't know what to write there. Exact implementation will be given in the subclasses like CD, whether you want to read from CD or DVD. I don't know what to write there, that's why I kept it as read, abstract, right? Okay. So now you understood about abstract methods and abstract classes clearly. Any doubts? Let me know. Asked the commonly asked question: can abstract class have a constructor? Yes. Can we create an object of abstract class? When we are not creating object of abstract class, why constructor? Yes, very good. So if assume that this is not having a constructor, assume the reverse case. If this is not having a constructor, now my CD reader is extending reader. The first line inside the constructor is super, the call to the superclass. If there is no constructor in abstract class, this is not possible. So you will not be able to inherit also. So remember, if somebody asks you, abstract class has a constructor? Yes. But we cannot create an object of abstract class. Okay. Once you are clear, see here in abstract class, I have a method called print, which is having body. Okay. But now, what happens if I don't want to give body for print method here? I want to make this also as abstract. In one abstract class there can be n number of abstract methods. Now I decided to make print method also as abstract. See here here it is giving error. Why? CD is giving error because I didn't implement. One abstract method is there and print method is there in superclass. I didn't implement. Compiler is giving an error. It will not agree until I implement it. So I can give the body here. Add unimplemented methods. See in Eclipse, you just keep your cursor on the error. It will suggest you some things. Don't write code. See, add unimplemented methods. It will add. So print method is added. Similarly, in DVD reader also, I will add the print method. Now this class is having all abstract methods. Is there any use of inheriting it? Inheriting, why do we use inheritance? For reusing some code. Inheritance purpose is reusing some code. Is there any code inside it? No, no methods, nothing. None of the methods are having code. So, is there any purpose in inheriting this class? No? No, right? But there is one single purpose I can say, to take advantage of runtime polymorphism. Right? If this method has to work, read method has to work, the reader should be the superclass. If you want to take advantage of runtime polymorphism, then that superclass is required. Do you agree or not? What do I mean by taking advantage of runtime polymorphism? If I don't take advantage of runtime polymorphism, as I said, I have to write two read methods. One which is taking CD reader, one which is taking DVD reader. Even though the two methods are having same code, I need to write two overloaded methods here. Read methods, I need to write two overloaded methods. One which is taking CD reader and one which is taking DVD reader. But if I take advantage of polymorphism, what I did, I made this method to take superclass reference. Right? When a method is taking superclass reference, I can pass any of subclasses, right? So now I can have only one method if I take advantage of runtime polymorphism, right? Fine. Now, when I made my reader class as abstract class, all abstract methods, the only advantage I have is runtime polymorphism. Any subclass which is extending it will not be inheriting any code, right? Now, once you know this, let me tell you, multiple inheritance is supported in Java or not? Multiple inheritance of classes is supported or not? No. One class can extend only one class, it cannot extend other class, right? See now, my CD reader here is extending reader already. Can it extend some other class? No. Now, but is it getting is it inheriting any code by extending reader? No code is inherited, right? Because both the methods are abstract. So now by extending reader, my CD reader, my subclass is not inheriting any code at all, but still it is losing the power of extending some other class. It cannot extend some other class. So now the idea is, instead of making this class as an abstract class, make it an interface. Interface is again a keyword. Okay, interface is nothing but 100% abstract class. Whenever all the methods in your class are abstract, instead of making this as interface, instead of making this as class, you make it as interface. Tell me, interface is also a class, true or false? True or false? Interface is also a class, true. Because if you see, dot class file is generated for this reader also. If you see, reader dot class will be generated. Interface is also a class. Just we are changing the keyword. Instead of class, we are using interface. Right? Interface is 100% abstract class. But now, what is the advantage when I use the keyword interface instead of class? What is the advantage I am getting? See here, in my subclass, I can make, when it is interface, it does not extend. It should implement. So I should make my CD reader implements reader, and also my DVD reader implements reader. Right? Now what advantage did I get by making it as an interface? My DVD reader, can it extend some other class? Yes, because it is not extending any other class till now, it can extend other class, right? So whenever your class is 100% abstract, means it is having all abstract methods, better to make it as an interface instead of class. Now what is an interface? Interface is 100% abstract class which has all abstract methods. Okay, any doubts? Right? Now, can I make an object of interface now? No, because it is 100% abstract class. We cannot make objects of abstract class. But can I make a reference of it? Yes, a reference can be made. And now interface reference can point to any implementations. Yes, see here in my reader demo I am having reader interface reference. It can point to either a CD reader object or a DVD reader object. Okay, so that is the advantage of interface. Any doubts? Okay, now let us talk about typecasting for some time. Here I need to talk about typecasting, and I'll talk about some important definitions. Okay, I'll just use this notepad. See here, I have int I is equals to 10 and int and float f is equals to 3.5. Will it give any compilation error now? Is it a compilation error? 3.5 f, because 3.5 is a double literal. As I said yesterday, literals I introduced. 2 is integer literal. 2.5 is double literal. 2.5 is 5f is floating point literal. Okay, fine. I will use f. That's fine. Now I can say f is equals to I. Is it okay? So what will happen? Whatever value present in I will be copied to f. Now if I print f, system.out.println f, what will it print? No, 10.0 or 10? 10.0. 10.0 f or 10.0? 10.0. So 10 will be casted, converted to float, right? See, whenever you are thinking of typecasting, you just understand like this. Variable is something which can hold values, right? Tell me, int is smaller type or float is smaller type? So you can assume that int to be a smaller cup and float to be a bigger cup, right? Now if somebody says pour whatever is in bigger cup inside smaller cup, is it okay? There is a chance of overflow. Bigger cup, let's say bigger cup is having more coffee, smaller cup. If you are trying to put coffee present in bigger cup inside smaller cup, there is a chance of overflow. But will it always overflow? No, but what will happen if content of the bigger cup is lesser than the capacity of smaller cup? It will not overflow, right? But there is a chance of overflow, right? But what will happen if I try to keep something in smaller cup inside bigger cup? No problems, it will not overflow. Similarly here, whenever I try to keep int inside, whenever I try to keep smaller type inside bigger type, the compiler will not give any error because there is no chance of overflow. Okay, compiler will not give. What it will do, it will internally cast integer to float and then store it, right? But what if I say I is equals to f? It will give compiler error, because what am I trying to do? I am trying to keep the one present in the bigger cup inside smaller cup. There is a chance of overflow, right? So compiler will not agree if you are trying to keep bigger type inside smaller type. So in that case, I need to assure the compiler, hey compiler, don't worry, I will make sure that f will contain smaller value which can be kept inside a smaller cup only, right? To ensure that, to tell to compiler that I will take care, I need to do typecasting. So then the compiler will be satisfied, compiler will not give you error, and compiler will trust you that you will keep a value, you will make sure that f will contain a value which can be fitted inside I. Okay, so that's about typecasting. This is explicit typecasting. And when I said earlier f is equals to I, this is implicitly it is typecast. Whenever you try to keep small type inside bigger type, implicit typecasting. Whenever you try to keep bigger type inside small type, you have to do explicit typecasting. This is the meaning of typecasting in primitive types. When it is primitive types. Now coming to reference types, how typecasting will work. As I said, superclass reference can point to subclass object. Okay, let me show it here. Reader is equals to new CD reader of some file name, right? Superclass reference can point to subclass object. What is the casting happening? What type of casting is happening here? Implicit typecasting or explicit typecasting? Implicitly, CD reader is casted to a reader. So when superclass reference is pointing to subclass object, implicit typecasting is happening. Okay? Which is considered to be a bigger type now here? Super or sub is bigger type? Sub will be having extra functionalities. But super is always considered to be a bigger type. Super thing is always considered to be a bigger type. So here also, whenever you are trying to keep smaller type instead of bigger type, implicit typecasting happens. But what will happen if I do like this? I will create a reference of CD reader. CD reader is equals to reader. Why is it giving error? Why?
Bigger to smaller.
Bigger to smaller. It is not possible. Compiler will not agree when you are trying to keep bigger thing inside smaller thing. But actually, if you observe, actually what is reader pointing to? CD reader only. Actually that reader is pointing to CD reader, and I am trying to assign CD reader object to CD reader only. I don't see any problem here, because anyway after you see these two lines, you will understand CD reader will be pointing to CD reader only. I don't find any problem, right? But compiler is telling that it is a problem, because compiler will check only according to type of the variables. What is the type of variables? Reader. What is the type of this variable? CD reader. It does not see what actual object is present inside that variable. It will compare only based on types. The type of reader means CD reader is bigger than the type of CD reader, right? So compiler will not agree. If I have to tell to compiler I will take care, then what I should do? I should do explicit typecasting. Right, this is the thing which I want you to understand. Explicit typecasting, implicit typecasting in both cases, primitive types as well as reference types. You understood? Any doubts? Okay. Now once you understand these interfaces and all, I will take you through some important steps which you need to understand. Okay, this is the Java documentation. Here you have 3 frames. First frame, second frame and third frame. In the first frame it is showing all the packages. Now I'll take you to java.lang package, which is by default implemented. Java.lang. Here you have a class called object. Here you have a class called object. If you click on this package, it will show all the class and interface present inside that package. If I click on this, it is showing the class package. So as you know, object is superclass of all classes. So what is the purpose of inheritance? To reuse the code, right? Here in this object class, there are some commonly used methods which are defined in object class. We need to understand about these methods present in object class first. Okay, the important methods are toString. See the documentation. If I see here, returns a string representation of the object. ToString method will return string representation of the object. What do I mean by this? Okay, yesterday I created employee class. Okay, somewhere I created employee class here. No. Okay, here I created employee class. Yes, I have an employee class here. Now, in this demo, what will happen if I print system.out.println E? Address of object will be printed? Yes? Okay, let us see now. I will run this class. I will run this program. Oh, it is printing employee at something. I don't understand what is happening. So let us try to understand what is happening whenever I try to print an object reference. Whenever I pass object reference as an argument to out.println, what happens is internally it will call e.toString. Is that toString method in employee class? Did I define it? No, it is inherited from object. Here my employee class is not extending anything, it is by default extending object. ToString method is inherited, right? So ToString method from object is called. So if ToString method from object is called, what is it printing? Let us see the documentation. Okay, I will explain you. You can read the documentation later. I will explain. What it is printing is, it is printing the qualified class name. Qualified class name is the class name with package also. Here my employee is in default package. If it is in say com.accenture, it could have printed com.accenture.employee plus @ symbol plus every object will be assigned a unique hash code, right? So this is nothing but the hash code allocated for employee object. So whenever you call ToString method by default, which is inherited from object, what it will print is, it will print the qualified class name plus @ symbol plus hash code of that object in hexadecimal format, not in decimal format, in hexadecimal format. Okay. But now when I print employee here in demo, I don't want that this to be printed. I want my employee name to be printed. Yes. What I can do is I can override ToString method. See how I am overriding ToString. See, I am pressing to control space. Automatically, whenever you press some few letters and press control space, Eclipse will show you the methods present in superclass. It is asking override method object. I am pressing OK. See, automatically it wrote. Don't try to write on your own. You will do a lot of mistakes. Take the Eclipse help. Then what I want to do is, see the signature of ToString. It is returning a string. So can I return now employee name? Instead of returning super.ToString, I'll return name. Okay. Okay, now if I run this, what will it print? Varun. Because yesterday I gave the name of employee by default in my default constructor. See, in my default constructor of employee name is Varun, it printed Varun. So whenever you want string representation of an object, what you need to do? You need to override ToString method present inside the object class.